What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Good Game Reviews. Here to do another game prediction. We're coming into a really what I assumed was going to be a really good matchup. It might still be. It might still be, but with the names that are listed on the injury report, the names that are listed as out and whatnot, kind of takes away from what we expected to see. Once we saw the schedule. But nonetheless, let's just go ahead and jump into it. Before I start going over the advantages and whatnot, I'm just gonna go ahead and let you know who's all not gonna be there. On the Raiders side, as far as out, we have Trent Brown, the tackle. He's gonna be out with a calf injury. We got Nick uh, Kowalski. I don't even know how to say that last name, man. I swear. But he's out with a pectoral. And then we have Henry Ruggs, and he's out with a knee slash hamstring injury or something like that. I think the most, I guess, alarming one is the Henry Ruggs one. It's, especially because that was one of the things that a lot of people were thinking about. All right, how do we game plan with this? We already know Darren Waller's going to be a problem. And now we have to deal with Henry Ruggs and his speed. Who do we put on him? Now we don't have to worry about that because he's not going to be there. They don't have anybody doubtful. They have a few questionables. They have the guard Denzel Good, thumb slash illness. You have Josh Jacobs, running back, hip. You have Darren Waller, knee. And then you have tackle Sam Young with a groin. So this is probably like one of the first times that the Patriots are going up against somebody and their injury report looks even longer than theirs. Usually we're the ones with the real lengthy injury report, but it kind of looks similar to what the Patriots will put out. And these aren't just some third string guys or second string guys or some special team players you probably never heard of. No, these like some big names, some big names. Out you have David Andrews with a hand. If you haven't heard, he's been placed on IR. That doesn't mean he's out for the season. So let's calm down real quick. He's not out for the season. They can be out for about 3 weeks, and then they can bring him back in. That's the new rule for this season. So he'll be able to come back this season. Don't worry. He has a hand injury. He's had surgery on it. He plans to hike off with the opposite hand, but for now he's just sitting there resting. So yeah. James White, not injury related. We know what happened with James White. We know what happened with his father in the accident. We know what happened with his mother. So I think he's just taking some time out for himself. Either I think that, or he could be just with his family and whatnot. So yeah, that's understandable. Um, Josh Uche. I always feel like I'm saying his name wrong. It's either Josh Uche or Josh Uche, but he's out with the foot injury. He's also placed on IR. So a lot of fans who were just excited to see him play. Looks like we're gonna have to just wait a little bit longer, man. I mean, man. But yeah, that's the deal. As far as doubtful, no doubtfuls. Questionables, kind of the same names. Uh, one different one. We got defensive lineman Adam Butler with the shoulder. You got Kyle Duggar on here with the ankle. That was pretty surprising name that we saw pop up on the injury report. And he's been doing pretty good. So hopefully it's nothing serious, and hopefully he can still be able to play. You got Julian Edelman with the knee. He plays through everything. You got N'Keal Harry with an ankle. For the past 2 weeks, it was shoulder. He was designated with the shoulder. Now it's the ankle. So lower body injury. kind of got to keep an eye on that. As far as this last one, you got Isaiah Wynn, tackle calf. It's I don't know. It just seems like by week, I think it's probably gonna be just something coming. By like week 3, he's gonna be dealing with something. So I don't know. He's just kind of injury prone. So, but hopefully it's not anything serious and he can play because last thing we need is our left tackle being out. Oof. So that's pretty much it for the injury reports. Um, that's pretty much who's going to be in there, who might not be in there. Um, we don't know. We don't know as far as questionables, but as far as the people out, you can kind of like get a scope of what the game might look like. So now, no Henry Ruggs. Don't have to deal with that speed. He's going to have to go out to other options. Of course, Waller. You got Henry. You got Hunter. Excuse me, Hunter Renfro. Or that's one of his targets. So he likes to go out to him. Nelson Aguilar, another guy. You know, get a good outlook of the game, or whatever. But now that we're through with that, let's go ahead and get into the matchups as far as the positions go. This one wasn't as difficult as I thought it was gonna be. I kind of looked at the differences in the stats and whatnot, and I'm kind of surprised at some of these numbers, but let's go ahead and get into it. As far as the quarterback situation goes, I decided to go with Cam Newton. Um, just for the fact that, he brings a lot more as far as just being an overall threat to the game. If you saw what he did last week, I know maybe a couple people didn't expect him to go off like that, or maybe a lot of people didn't expect him to go off like that the way he did in the passing game, because they knew the Seahawks weren't going to allow him to run the ball like that. And then you see him almost throw for 400 yards, and it's like, okay, so that's something else we have to deal with. Let's put that down in the things that we have to worry about when we go against Cam Newton. So yeah, Cam Newton is definitely becoming the dual threat that we already knew that he was. We just was like, when were we going to see a game like that where he's throwing for a whole bunch of yards and not rushing? And we saw it as soon as week 2. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Cam Newton in this regard. Nothing against Derek Carr, but I just see Cam Newton as the better quarterback as far as his, multiple abilities. As far as running backs go, I decided to go with the Raiders. Specifically, like usually I don't like to do this. I don't like to just go off of one person alone. But Josh Jacobs, man, this is just like he's just a problem. He's just a problem to deal with on the ground. Um, he already has 181 yards total as far as rushing. He has 52 attempts. He's only averaging 3.5, so it's nothing like crazy. But he's getting those yards on the ground, and he has 3 touchdowns. So that's something that that you're gonna look out for if they get into those goal line situations. He's definitely a guy that they're handing the ball off to. Yards per gain is 90.5. So like I said, he's moving the ball. He's moving it might not show in terms of like the averages, but he's moving it. So as far as just Josh Jacobs alone, I feel like that just gives them that advantage. As far as everybody else on the team, like Devontae Booker and Jalen Richard, not a lot as production like you would see with Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is clearly the bell cow. He's clearly getting most of the attempts. So not a lot of yards to kind of divvy up. If you were to look at the running back situation with the Patriots, you would see like a lot more like evenness as far as like rushing yards go. Like Sony got 56, Rex got 34, JJ Taylor has 27. Um, it's a lot more even. Cam Newton is the leading rusher over there with 122, but I mean that's not really anything to be surprised about. But as far as like that running back room, it's pretty even, you know. But just not a lot of production. I mean, JJ Taylor has the highest average with 5.4, but he hasn't even had that many runs to really show for it. So, I mean, if you want to look for the next guy who actually has like the attempts that they can fall back on, with Sony Michel only 3.3, I mean, that's lower than what Josh Jacobs got. And he doesn't have nearly the production that Josh Jacobs has shown. So I decided to go with Oakland on that one. As far as wide receivers, this is another surprise. This was a surprise for me, really, because looked at a lot of the matchups coming in this season. When I was thinking about this, I was like, I'm going to have to go with a lot of other teams' wide receiver cores than ours, because it's just, I don't know. Because I was thinking about what the production might look like. I'm like, man, I might have to lean the way of the other team in a lot of these predictions. But for this one, I don't really have to lean, towards anybody else. I have the Patriots as the with the advantage of this one. With Henry Ruggs out, as far as receivers go, as far as wide receivers go, he leads them in yards. So with Henry Ruggs out, you now have to lean on your next best option, which is Hunter Renfro. He has 58. So 1 yard off of what Henry Ruggs has. Pretty even in terms of targets. Not so in receptions. But yeah, that's pretty much like the next guy up for them. That's the guy who they're going to be depending on. And he seems to get more first downs anyway, So that's pretty much going to be their. That's pretty much going to be their that wide receiver that they're going to be leaning on that game. Now, obviously, Darren Waller is going to be just like in terms of like overall receivers, the one they're going to really be feeding a lot through the game or trying to feed. Hunter Renfro is going to be the one who's going to have to step up in place of Ruggs not being there. But as far as like the Patriots situation goes, I mean, you have Julian Edelman with 236 yards already. I mean, you saw the monster game he had last week against Seattle with 179 receiving. I mean, this dude, him and Cam Newton are going crazy right now. Now, not any touchdowns between any of these wide receivers or whatnot, but I mean they're he's definitely trying to feed them. From what we saw last game, N'Keal Harry with 111, he's already surpassed what he did last year, in those few games that he was able to play. He's already up in there. Like, they're on pace to have a really good season with Cam Newton if this trend kind of continues and whatnot. Damiere Byrd 72. Yeah, and you got a guy like Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers hasn't really been utilized. I think it's mostly because we have, the guys that we expected to be, number one, number two, number three. He was kind of thrusted into that number three role due to injuries, due to, players, being traded or players being released. I mean, it's just like he just kind of fell into that role where we had to depend on him. Like, and now he's not in that role where he can just come in every now and again. And if we have to, get it to him to possibly get a first down, then that's the way we go. But they have their guys set up. So that's probably why you don't really see him producing. Well, that is why you don't see him producing. So next we have the tight end matchup. And with the tight end matchup, I mean, you already know where I'm going with this. I'm going with the Raiders on this one. Not hard. Darren Waller's obviously going to be like the most thrown to guy in this game. Probably Julian Edelman trailing like kind of right behind that, but Darren Waller, I mean, they're going to try to feed this guy, especially with Ruggs out. They are going to try to feed this guy because they're putting all their hopes on him. You know, if he doesn't do well, Raiders probably do very poorly in this game if they can't get him the ball. He has already 24 targets, 18 receptions, 150 yards, averaging 8.3. He already has a touchdown on the season. I mean, he's the central focus of the Oakland's offense. You know, he's what gets everything going. So I'm guessing the objective will be to slow him down, because if he slows down, then I feel like that whole offense comes to a halt. I mean, you can just look at like the first downs that he's produced for everybody. You know, you looking at numbers like 2, 4, 1, stuff like he has 11 first downs compared to everybody else on the squad who's received the ball. He has 11 first downs. He pretty much is that offense. As far as the Patriots goes, I mean, you kind of have Julian Edelman in that same boat, with 11 first downs and whatnot. But in terms of tight ends, not a lot to speak of. Ryan Izzo is statistically shown to be the better tight end. He's the only tight end who's caught a pass, just so far. So, I mean, we're still expecting on when will we have that breakout game from Devin Asiasi or maybe Dalton Keene? Which one of these guys, which one of these third round picks that we pretty much moved up to get is going to get a chance to get in this game and catch some balls? But I mean, we don't know what they look like because we haven't seen them really in action like that. So we only have really Ryan Izzo as far as like the tight end situation to kind of look at and see what do we have in that area. And it's just, not anything exciting. It's very underwhelming. So easily Raiders right there. I just decided to go their way. As far as the O line, I decided to go with the Patriots. Mainly because Trent Brown is out. Obviously, not having him in the game, you would like to have Trent Brown in the game. I'm speaking from experience, seeing what he was able to do for us in that 2018 season. He's a bad man. You would love to have him on the line during the game. So kind of a blow for them in terms of the offensive line. For us, we're relatively safe, healthy, except for David Andrews, and that's also kind of a blow. But I feel like Ferentz will be able to kind of like hold it up for at least for the for the little time being that David Andrews is going to be out. Hopefully he can hopefully he can do a good job. But as far as like the tackle situation, like that's secure right now. So I know that the center, like having David Andrews out there, we saw what it looks like with him out there, and we saw what it looks like without him. Looking back at last season, and it does suck without him. But I feel like we can manage for the little time because he's not going to be out for the whole season. We just got to manage for like these few little weeks, and then after week 6, which is the bye week, then we'll be able to see some Andrews. But I'm gonna go with the Patriots O-line on this one. It's usually hard to find like stats on O-lines and stuff like that. Usually you have to look at the best thing you really get is like sack counts or something like that. In terms of sacks, they're pretty even. Derek Carr has been sacked 3 times. Cam Newton's been sacked 3 times. So I just decided to go off of injury designations. As far as the defensive end position, I mean, neither one of these groups is just really like just eye popping when you think about the production that they get from the defensive ends. Um, Not a lot in terms of sacks for the Raiders. I think as far as like their leading guy when it comes to that category, you have uh, Carl Nassib or Nassib. I'll be butchering these names, y'all. But Jonathan Abrams is the leading sacker for them. I mean, but that's the safety. So not a lot of pressure they're really getting at with this defensive line. I know they made Drew Brees look very bad in that game, in that Monday night game. I mean, they was giving him a hard time. It just seemed like he was just rattled the whole night. I mean, not the whole night, but at least like for like majority of the night after they got the lead, and Raiders were like, okay, we need to start putting up some more points. Um, and it just seemed like from that point on, it just seemed like they just had his number the whole night. I mean, it just didn't seem like Drew Brees could get anything off. He seemed rushed. One play I think had a defender coming at him. He just chucked it right in the middle of the field, got picked off. Just wasn't a good night for Drew Brees. But I mean, this is a different O line. I feel like we have a better situation, at least right now. I mean, not so much with David Andrews being out, but I feel like we have a better situation at the O line position. Um, and I feel like as far as Cam Newton, he's just a different quarterback from Drew Brees. A lot of those situations where Drew Brees was just back there and really couldn't move around, it's going to be different with Cam Newton because he's going to move around. He's going to escape if you give him the room. So the Raiders going to have to probably do a lot of things different that they did as far as like game plan wise against Cam Newton, as far as like the edge rushers getting any kind of pressure on them. As far as defensive line goes, you got Maurice Hurst as far as like the most production, 0.5 as far as like tackles for loss, 0.5 as far as sacks. Nothing really to look at in this game right now. It just seems like not like a lot of production as far as like the defensive line goes for the Raiders. Oh, I had almost forgot. As far as who I gave the advantage to, as far as the defensive end position goes, I decided to go with the Patriots. I mean, I'm pretty much gonna go with the Patriots as far as like just the defensive line situation goes, because I feel like they're getting more production from those guys. Chase Winovich is, obviously, he is who he is, and he's done, very well in these last two games. So they're going to be leaning on him as far as like their leading rusher, because there's not really a lot of pass rush being generated from the ends. So he's definitely going to be a guy that they're going to rely on. I know a lot of people were probably looking at maybe Chase Winovich. They use him as a linebacker. They use him in like terms of like coverage and stuff like that. But no, I feel like his best spot is probably just going to be right there on that line, so he can contain, so he can get after the quarterback. That's where he needs to be. As far as defensive tackles, Adam Butler, he's been pretty well. He's dealing with the injury, but most likely he's going to be out there. Lawrence Guy kind of holds everything together as far as the middle of that line goes. Brian Coward has been he's been nice. He's been nice. I want to see a little more from him though. I want to see more of a playmaker come out of this defensive line position. I want to see somebody emerge from that. I want Coward to be that guy. But if he can't, Patriots might have to go out and find that guy. But I would love Byron Coward to be that guy. As far as the linebackers go, I decided to go with the Patriots again on this one. Um, just it just seems like as far as like defensively, we're getting a little more production from the linebackers. You know, we got the tackles for loss. Brandon Copeland is pretty much like the best guy out there so far. He's pretty much the best. Like, I mean, I know a lot of us expected Bentley to be kind of like the leader. I mean, he is, but we expected more from Bentley. You know, we had pretty high hopes about him, seeing what he did in 2018, seeing the start that he had. Um, so he's got a lot of expectations to live up to. Um, but Brandon Copeland has been really like the guy as far as like that linebacker room goes, who, we can really like depend on to, make those plays and make those tackles. It just seems like Russell Wilson had Bentley's number that whole game. Anytime he went out to scramble, anytime, Juwan Bentley was trying to, come in with the pass rush, it just seems like he couldn't get anything going when he was going against Russell Wilson. So, I mean, maybe it's not fair to say he couldn't get anything going against Russell Wilson because it is Russell Wilson, but we expected a lot more at this point. And there's still time, but, right now it's really like the Copeland show right now as far as like that linebacker room goes. But I decided to go ahead and give the advantage to the Patriots as far as the linebacker room goes. As far as cornerbacks, you kind of already know where I'm headed. It's the Patriots all day. And just that secondary as a whole, Patriots, cornerbacks, Patriots safeties, it is pretty much, Patriots as far as that regard, because not a lot of people are outproducing that secondary. You just aren't. You know. As far as special teams goes, I decided to go with the. I decided to go with the Patriots. I think Matthew Slater was injured coming into the last game. We didn't see him on the injury report this week, so I mean that's at least some good news. And I feel like we could probably get maybe like a block punt, some good pins as far as like behind the 10-yard line as far as like punts and whatnot. I just feel like overall like this special teams unit that the Patriots have is sneakily good. Now they didn't show it too much last game, but I feel like in this matchup, they'll probably take advantage of a lot of things that Raiders might do wrong as far as like on the special teams. Yeah, so I decided to go ahead and lean with them. As far as the coaching, the last category on this list, coaching. Bill Belichick. It's hard not to. It's hard not to go with Bill Belichick, man. Gruden, I mean, nothing against Gruden. I like him, but as far as like Gruden versus Belichick has shown to be the better guy as far as like just planning things during the game. Strategically, he just he can just take advantage of things like that. If I had to choose which guy I would want to give as far as like give that last minute kind of, okay, I need like what defense are you gonna choose for this last drive? It's the 2-minute drive. They have to go down the field to get a touchdown, or they have to go down the field to just get a field goal. Who would you trust to pretty much stop them and get them off the field as far as like the right play calls and whatnot? I just, it's just easy to pick Belichick. And that's pretty much the way it's going to be through a lot of these games, a lot of these predictions. It's just going to be easier to choose Belichick. But as far as like this matchup, I would definitely just choose Belichick. Um, but if I had to give a score prediction for this game, I don't want to get too crazy. Um, but I'll say that the Patriots win by 10. I could easily see um, possibly 25 or what's a what's a better number? Maybe 27-17 type game. Yeah, that's a better number. That's a better number. 27-17 type game. Um, Oakland tries to stay with it. They try to hang in there. But mostly it's just them playing catch up through the whole game. So that's pretty much my prediction as far as like the outlook of that game goes. Um, Unfortunate to see what the injuries have done. A lot of these predictions going forth. Um, they're going to get harder and harder, and it's gonna make things a little more difficult, and it's going to change like how we view the game. A lot of people got injured in week 2, and there's nothing showing that it's probably going to slow down anytime soon. Just the lack of preseason, lack of conditioning, it hasn't fared well for the players, and we've seen some big names go down. So that's just that's just one more thing that we have to worry about. Um, but thank you for watching. If you did watch this pretty long video, I had a lot of things that I want to go over. So if you did make it all the way through this 30 minutes something long video, congratulations. Thank you very much. Um, like, comment, subscribe. I'll be back for the post game review. And possibly I want to address some more, at least some concerns that I have about the team, but I'll say that for later. Right now, just going to focus on the game ahead. So, thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm out.